on, my fellow Jets fans? Welcome to the latest episode of the New York Jets State of Mind podcast, coming at you like I do every single week at the bare minimum. My name is Malcolm Harper, aka MH Jets Fan 83. You can follow me on X, Instagram, and YouTube at MH Jets Fan 83, which is one word, all lowercase. You can find my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. This episode will also be posted on my YouTube channel at MHJetsFan83. Before I get to the latest Jets news, injuries, and previewing the Week 15 matchup, the second straight road game in Florida, this time in Jacksonville against the Jacksonville Jaguars tomorrow. If you could do me a huge favor and share this podcast and my social media accounts with other Jets fans, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, if you could hit the like button, subscribe, and comment on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Amazon. That would also be greatly appreciated. And subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Hit the like button so that my channel can grow. With all that being said, let's get to the latest Jets news. Did y'all see the viral clip this week online between Mark Gastineau and Brett Favre? Me personally, I think Brett Favre laid down for Mike Strahan to break that sack record in 2001. Mark said that this was the direct quote from the clip. When you fell down for him, I'm going to get my sack back. I was not old enough to watch the New York Sack Exchange in the 80s. I was born in 1983, by the way. But I do remember the stories that my late dad used to tell me about the celebrations that Mark Gastineau used to do after a sack, and the opposing players wanted to kick the you know what out of him so bad. So I find that to be pretty funny. At least back then, you were not called for unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting. I am so waiting to watch the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary, The New York Stock Exchange. I finally got it recorded, so whenever I get to it and watch it, whenever I will actually come and on this podcast to actually give you what my thoughts of after the documentary. I just found out it's actually narrated by Method Man, so that's pretty awesome as well too. So he's a Jets fan as well too. Um, let's get to other Jets news real quick. Aaron Rodgers speaking to the media this week saying, quote, it might be some sort of curse. We got to snap out as well. Well, he was supposed to be that person to break that curse when we ended up doing that trade for him, but now the curse lives on. Now, according to Tankathon, the Jets right now have 9 draft picks. They have the 7th overall pick in the first round. They have the 38th pick in the second round. They have the 96th pick in a trade with the Detroit Lions in the third round, the 105th pick in the fourth round, the 140th and the 162nd pick in a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the fifth round, the 184th pick and the 207th pick in a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs in the sixth round. And then we have the 223rd pick in the seventh round. Obviously, that's all going to be subject to change once the draft rolls around at the end of April. Um, just found out right before I got on this podcast that Bill Belichick was actually reached out to the Jets before he took the North Carolina head coaching job. Wow, that's pretty crazy, knowing the fact that Belichick has all this animosity with the Jets, especially with Woody Johnson. So I was really surprised he ended up reaching out to the Jets for their head coaching vacancy. So, but it is what it is. Other news, Titans GM, former Titans GM, John Robinson linked to the GM Jets job. And from a head coaching job perspective, Aaron Glenn, that used to play for the New York Jets, that got drafted in the late 90s by Bill Parcells. He's also very interested for the head coaching job. He knows how to go play in New York, and let's see how this all plays out. Now, let's get to the injury news for this game. Herb Charles ended up tearing his ACL in the last week's game against the Miami Dolphins, and it was placed on season-ending IR. He was actually a bright spot on special teams this year. I really enjoyed his play. So he did what he could, and I honestly believe he probably would have been selected maybe to the Pro Bowl if he didn't get hurt. But it is what it is. It's football. People get hurt, and we just got to move on. Kenny, Oahu that ended up making that kickoff return a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks back. He was also placed on season-ending IR with a broken hand. Brandon Echols is doubtful for this game with a shoulder injury. DJ Reed is questionable with a growing injury. Brees Hall is questionable with a knee injury, but he is expected to play. And those are all the injuries for the game. Let's get to tomorrow afternoon's game. against the Jacksonville Jaguars. According to ESPN Bet, the opening line number has the Jets as the favorite at -3.5 and the over/under at 40.5. And as I'm talking to you guys right now on this podcast on a Saturday afternoon, it has stayed the same at at -3.5 with an over/under of 40.5. The Jaguars ended their 5-game losing streak last week by beating the Tennessee Titans 10-6. The key matchup that I'm going to be looking at in this game is the rookie wide receiver Brian Thomas versus Sauce Gardner, who was inactive last week against the game in the game against the Dolphins with a hamstring injury, so he's expected to play tomorrow. Now for my prediction for this game, the Jets. I have the Jets winning the game, but I do have the Jaguars covering the 3.5. I'm gonna say 24-23. And just like the game last week against the Dolphins, I have a feeling that the Jets will find a creative way to lose this game to Mac Jones now that Trevor Lawrence is on season and IR with a shoulder injury. But I could be wrong, but let's see what happens in tomorrow's game. So before I get on out of here for the afternoon and for the rest of the weekend, let me get to my favorite part of my podcast. You guys know what it is. It is the new follower shout out. Each new follower that I have that follows me on X, Instagram, my YouTube page, you will get a shout out from me. And surprisingly, for the first time since I started this podcast, I have no new followers on any of my social media accounts. It's all good. I mean, I'm still starting out doing this. So, with that said, do me a favor and share this podcast and new followers as well too. So, I'm going to be signing off. I cannot thank you guys enough for your time and taking time out of your busy schedule to go listen to me. That's just awesome. So I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. So if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, do me a huge favor. Wherever you're listening at or whatever device that you're listening on, please go to X, Instagram, and or YouTube and go to the search box and type in my name at MHJetsFan83, which is lower all lowercase and one word. I will be posting this episode again on my all of my um platforms of Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music and iHeart. And obviously I need more followers so the channel could go grow. So I'm gonna be back next week to break it down what what happened in the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So with that being said, Jets fans, we're almost to the finish line. We have 4 more weeks of this. I want you guys to enjoy your weekend. This lost season is almost through, and I want to. I know it's early, but I'm gonna wish you guys a very happy and safe holiday season right now. The holidays are rolling around, so spend that much time with your family as much as you can, and recharge those batteries for the if you are actually getting time off during the holidays. So, with that said, Jets, Jets, Jets. Take care.